Hello and welcome to the Ciao Flower Shop mini album tutorial series designed for scrap and create. If you are just joining the tutorial series, don't forget to check out the links in the description box below where you will find the links for all of the papers and the other supplies that I am using from the Scrap and Create website to create this album. Let's get into the tutorial. In today's video, we are going to be making the inserts and the photo mats to finish our album. We're going to be starting with the inside front cover, going into our pages. I've got one that needs to go on the page that I forgot, and then we'll go to the back cover. Now for all of these inserts and photo mats, I'm going to give you the measurements and show you the papers that I've cut. If you want to substitute something, you can. If you already have your photos, you don't have to put the paper on the back sides of the mats, so you can mix this up if you need to. Now, if you are going to make changes to the papers, you might want to look at all of the cuts that I've made before you start cutting into any of your other papers, because I am getting down to just the bare scraps. So I did have to piece together some of these to be able to cover all of my inserts. The first one, I have a cardstock piece that's 3 inches by 4 inches. I'm going to be placing this piece on the front side. And then for the back side, I have this paper. And again, I don't know where these are from at this point. There are just so many pieces. So you'll have to search your papers to figure out where these papers are. So it's got that green leaf pattern and then the butterfly pattern. So these pieces are 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So I'm going to adhere those to the front and the back of this one. Next, I have a mat that's 3 inches by 3 3/4. And these are the 2 pieces that are going to go on this. So these are 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. So I'm going to place this one on the front, and then this is going to go on the back side. So you could either journal or place a photo there. And then this one, I have another 3 by 3 3/4 inch cardstock piece. I've got this. It was one of the journaling cards. I had to trim it down just slightly. It's 2 3/4 by 3 1/2. I'm going to place this on the front, and then this is on the back side. I believe this is from the 8 by 8 paper. It's a smaller print. So I'm going to place it here. Now, if you do want to make this a journaling card, you might want to flip it over on that back side. It might be a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere all these down first, and then we'll put them in our book. Now that I have my cards completed, I'm going to put them all together and put them down into this pocket here on the front cover. And I am going to actually stagger these so you can see that there are 3 cards like that. And then you could place one of those tall, skinny bookmarks. I actually did not cut into this paper at all. So you could cut one of these and put one of these here if you wanted to, but I think I'm going to use this for a scrapbooking layout, so I didn't cut into this paper at all. Next, we're going to come in here and make a card for this inside front cover. So the first thing I did was cut a piece of cardstock to 11 by 7 1/4. Then I've scored this at 5 1/2 and folded it to make a booklet or a card. Now I'm going to be starting on the back side of my booklet. I've taken this from the 12 by 12. I do have one strip of this left. So I believe it was the row at the top that I had already cut a piece of. So I just cut this down to 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to be placing this here in the center of my back of my booklet. And then you could place a photo here. So if you already have photos, you could just place your photo. But when you go in later, you could place a photo over top of this paper if you wanted to. Then I have 2 pieces of this paper here that measure 5 1/4 by 1 1/2. One piece is going to go at the top, and one piece is going to go at the bottom, like this. Then I've taken this piece. This was from one of the A4 papers. I've just cut it down. I had to trim a little tiny bit off the top, and I trimmed a little bit more off of the bottom because I didn't want to cut this off. So this is 5 1/4 by 7 inches, and this is going to go here on the front side of the booklet. Now for the inside of my booklet, I have taken a strip from the 12 by 12 sheet. It was this here, so I cut this across the bottom. So these pieces measure this direction 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm going to place one in the more towards the top than anything, but you'll see in just a second. And then I've taken another strip of that paper that had the shops on it. I cut another strip, and it's about 4 inches long or 4 inches wide. And then for this one, this was down here at the bottom. I trimmed this off, and this piece is about 7/8 of an inch. I'll come back to those pieces in just a minute. Now for these, what I did was trim these to 5 1/4 inches, and I'm going to place these at the top. I'm going to leave the tops open if I need to slide anything underneath of it for the photo. So I'm going to just adhere down this top piece. And then for these, I fussy cut around my buildings, and I'm going to adhere these down here. So I guess just seeing that there's some white space, if I put this piece down so that you don't see any white space, I'll get most of this border strip adhered down to the page, and only this yellow piece will need to be open for that photo to slide behind it. Same thing with this one here. And I'm going to leave this top portion of my fussy cut piece open, so then again that photo will slide behind it. So here is my booklet complete, and I'm just going to place this right here in my front cover, just like this. Now I'm going to move on to the photo mat for the pocket on the first page. So this is measuring 2 3/4 by 8 inches. Then I'm going to start with my back side. I have a piece of this paper here. I've cut this to 2 1/2 by 7 3/4, and I'm just going to place this here on the back side. Then I have this piece for the front side, 2 3/4 or 2 1/2 by 7 3/4. It's going to go here. And then I've cut this little journaling card. I trimmed it down a little bit so that it would be 2 1/2 inches. And I'm actually going to place mine, I think I'm going to place this one in the center. That way you could put 2 small photos here if you wanted. Now, if you wanted to put like a wallet size photo, you could place this up here, and a wallet size photo would fit on that front of the photo mat too. Or you can leave this off if you just want to put photos on here. You don't have to put the decorative paper, but I will be putting mine in the center. Here is my completed photo mat. So I'm going to slip this in the pocket between my pages, and it is going to extend out just a little tiny bit, so you will know that it is there, but it doesn't cover up this page either. Next, we're going to move on to the photo mat for page 2. For page 2, the cardstock measures 3 3/4 by 8 inches. We're going to start on the back side. I have this piece here, and it was from the fussy cutting sheet. I believe this is from the 12 by 12. So this is 3 1/2 by 7 3/4, and I'm just going to place this here on the whole entire back side. Then I have this piece left over from the paper we used on the cover of the album. It is also 3 1/2 by 7 3/4. And then I've cut this image down, and I've trimmed off this side so that you could see this image, and I didn't want to cut into that portion there. Now what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to put it all the way up here at the top. That way you can place a photo here. But again, just like on the first one we did, if you want to place it in the center, you can place it in the center, and it can just be decorative. Or you don't have to put this at all if you have photos that you want to put on here. But I'm going to put mine up here like this, with just about a 1/4 of an inch at the top, maybe 3/8 of an inch. That way a wallet size photo will fit there. So here is my photo mat for page 2. I'm going to place it in the pocket here, and just like the first one, it will stick out just slightly, but it will not cover page 3. Now for page 3, I'm going to flip over to the back side first, and I'm going to start by creating the insert that goes here because I forgot to do it whenever we made the page. So we need to cut a piece of cardstock to 3 1/4 by 7 1/2. Now on the back side, I've cut this piece to 3 inches by 7 1/4, and I'm going to place this here on the back side. Then for the front side, I've trimmed down this little journaling card, and I'm going to place it in the center. And then I have 2 pieces of the paper that was left over. I think this was from the 12 by 12 paper, but these measure 3 inches by 2 1/4 inches. One is going to go here at the top, and one is going to go here at the bottom. Here is my completed photo mat, and then I'm just going to place this here in this little pocket behind that fold out. Now we're going to go ahead and make the insert for the page. For the cardstock piece, it needs to measure 4 3/4 by 8 inches. Now I have this image from the A4 paper that I have cut down to 4 1/2 by 7 3/4. And I cut this to make sure that that wagon was on there. So I do think that I cut slightly from, I might have cut from the top and bottom. Can't quite tell now. So this is going to go here on the front. And then on the back side, I have this leftover piece from the 8 by 8 paper. I'm going to turn this one sideways and place it here. Whatever was left is what I'm using. And then I have a strip here that is 3/4 by 7 3/4, and I'm going to place this here on the right side to cover all of that space. Here is my photo mat for page 3, so I'm going to go ahead and place that in the pocket between the pages. It will stick out again just a little bit past the page. And next we're going to move on for the photo mat for page 4. The cardstock piece needs to be cut to 5 3/4 by 8 inches. Starting on the back side, we have a piece that measures 5 1/2 by 7 3/4, and it's from that 12 by 12. Just going to place this here on the back side. And then on the front, I have this. I can't remember if this is from the 12 by 12 or an A4 sheet, but I did cut this down. I trimmed off of both sides, or top and bottom. So this is 5 1/2 by 7 3/4. I'll be placing this here on the page. And then I took this piece here and I'm going to be placing this here in the center. Now, if you do want to put a photo on this side, like you could place a photo here later, or if you have one now, you could also place a photo here, but I'm going to leave this, I'm going to adhere this top portion down, but I'm going to leave this open. That way a photo can slide up under here if needed. Here is my 4th photo mat. So I'm going to place it here in that pocket. And again, it will stick over just a little bit. Then flipping over to the back side, I'm going to add my photo mat or my booklet for this back cover. Just like for my front cover, I've created a booklet here, 11 inches by 7 1/4 inches. I've scored this at 5 1/2 to fold it into a booklet. Starting on the back side, I have a piece of this paper that I have cut to 5 1/4 by 3 3/4. It's going to go here in the center. Then I have 2 pieces of this paper here. They are 5 1/4 by 1 5/8. One is going to go here at the top and one is going to go here at the bottom. Then for the front of the booklet, I have this. This was an 8 by 8 sheet that I did cut down. So I cut the strip off here just so that the whole entire pattern of this doily was seen. And then I trimmed this to 5 1/4 by 7 inches. And that is going to go on the front of my booklet. So for the inside of my booklet, I have taken a strip of this paper. I just cut this. It was a strip that's 12 inches and then 5 1/4, but I'm going to be turning them this way. That's this paper here. So I've got one piece. I'm going to place this one down here in the bottom right corner and this one up here in the top left corner. Then from this paper here, I have cut 2 strips of this to 1¼ by 5¼ and I'm going to place one up here at the top and this one is going to go down here at the bottom. Then I've just taken some little fussy cut pieces from the collection. I'm going to put this one up here in this top right corner. I'll leave that open so the photo can slide behind it. And then I've got this little tiny one here and I'm going to place it down here in this bottom left corner. Again, I'm going to leave that top open so the photo can slide down behind it. Here is my booklet and I'm going to go ahead and just slide it into the pocket on the back side of the page or the back side of the cover and close that up. Now that is everything that I'm going to be putting in my album, but there are still some cut up parts left over and you've got some scrap paper. So if you do want to continue to add more to your album, you can definitely do so because there is definitely some room left in here for expansion, and some of those pockets you can definitely add more to. So this is it for the Ciao Bella Flower Shop mini album tutorial series designed for Scrap and Create. If you are just joining the series, don't forget to check out the links in the description box below where all the products for the Ciao Bella papers and these flowers are linked on the Scrap and Create website. You can purchase those papers and follow along with the tutorial. If you have already joined the tutorial and you are just completing your album, I hope you have enjoyed this series. I hope you love the album that you have created and that you will place your photos in it if you like to place photos in your albums. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.